Hey folks, Dave here. Hope everybody's doing well today. I'm good. So we're going to do another Christmas project. And as always, if you have any problems doing this, just drop me a note down in the comments and I'll be glad to help any way I can. So we're going to do a lighted Christmas scene. And we're going to make basically a box, connect it together with some slots, put a stage on it, and have some slits for the light to come through, and put some characters, some trees on top. I think it'll look good, so stick around and we'll get right to it. So first we're going to grab a square and just drag it out and drop it, and click your selector tool. And remember, you can push down on your scroll wheel and move the entire canvas around, or you can move in and out with the scroll. Also, if you're selecting something and you pull from the right, you'll get a green line. You can touch the object and it'll select. If you come from the left, you get a red line. And you can't do that. You have to surround the entire object to select it. And both of those have good purposes. So it just depends on the project and the items you're trying to select. And the red helps you to pull things out of a group when you don't want the entire group. Okay, so one more thing. You can set up notes. If you go up to File and Show Notes, you can add notes to any project you're working on. So just type anything in the notes, whatever reminders you might need. Go down to the bottom and click Show Notes on File Open. And the next time you open this file, those notes will show up. Okay, so let's resize this one. Select it, and we're going to make it, we're in millimeters. Be sure your lock is off. This will be the backdrop, and we're going to make it 115 by 35. And then we're going to add some trees to this. We're going to weld some trees, but first we're going to put in some slots. So grab another square and just drag it out. Click your selector tool. Be sure your lock is off. We're using 3mm basswood plywood, but to adjust for kerf, we're going to make these slots 2.5. So you can just go up to arrange and flip this. And we're going to make it 2.5. I'm sorry, 2.4. Make it 2.4. And then make the height 18. And that should be something we can use throughout for all of these slots. And so we also want to set up a tool, and I'll just get a copy of this, duplicate. And you just want to pull it over and select tool down at the bottom. And we want to make that tool a width of 3. And that's just so we can come off the edge. And then when you select it, you can just make it a little smaller. Doesn't have to be full size. And then we'll use these throughout. Sometimes I make the mistake of getting rid of my tools too soon. So you want to let your cursor go on the edge, and then you can snap it to the object. And where you want to snap is up top. that's what needs to be more precise, is the top portion of it. Okay, now that we have that, pull from the right, select both of those, duplicate it, pull it out, and just bring it over here. And then go up to Arrange and do a horizontal flip. And then you can scroll in and do the same thing. Pull this close and then snap it to the top and then pull it to the edge. The edge doesn't need to be snapped because that tool has no output. You can see over on the top right, there's no output for it. Okay, so that'll be the backdrop. But before we do any grouping or anything like that, we will get a copy of that. So duplicate, pull it out, and then this will be the front. And now we will make the sides. So you can duplicate this again, pull it out, and nothing's grouped yet. So all we're going to do is resize this outside edge, and then we will reposition those other pieces. So we want this to be 75 by 30. Be sure your lock is off again. So a width of 75 and a height of 30. And then that will give us, I don't know why that didn't go to 30. I told it to go to 30. Now we're at 30. Okay, so now we want to put these on the bottom portion of this. So do the same thing, get in close. Your cursor will change. You can snap it and then pull it to the edge. And when you're making overlapping slots like this, the key is to make sure that the slots at least meet, like so. And then when you set this one on top of the other one, it'll just lock in place. And making it that 2.4 will help that 3mm wood with a kerf adjustment fit much better. Now your kerf, I'm sure, is some different from mine. So if you know what the kerf is, just adjust for that. And your kerf can vary from a clean lens to a dirty lens. It varies by material. So just get familiar with yours and go with that. Okay, so now we're going to group this one. Just right click and group. You can leave those tools in there. They're not going to cut. And then we're going to duplicate that. Now we've got both sides, and that's all we've got to do to those. The front here, we can group that. That's all we're doing to that, except maybe write Merry Christmas on it or something. For this one up here, we're not going to group it yet. We're going to go get a backdrop of trees. And when you open a vector, and these are free vectors, by the way, and I'll put them down in the description so you can go get them. So you resize from the corner, so it'll resize proportionately. And then you can see these little pieces that are in here that we want to get out. So you can select that vector, right click, ungroup, click off, and then touch it, and you can pull the main piece out. and then you can surround the trash you want to get rid of and just delete it. Okay, so now we want to, I'm trying to keep this large enough you can see. We want to resize to get between these slots. And we're going to want to probably stretch this a little bit so we can make it a little taller on the back. I think something about like that. But whatever looks good to you, do that. Okay, and then we're going to shift, select the backdrop, and then we're going over to weld, and we're going to weld that in. Now we have a clean backdrop. We have our slots, so we can group all that in. And that is good. So now we'll do, we'll set up our stage, and then we can make some characters to go on it. So our stage, just grab a square, drag it out, make it a cut, click your selector tool, and then we're going to make that 115 by 64. So width 115, and I'm sorry, length 115 and width 64. And that is so we cover the full stage, but over here, let me just flip this or rotate it. It's so we can go in between these slots when we set the stage on. We're not going to put tabs on the stage. I mean, we're going to put some slots, but no tabs to hold it in place. So once everything is set up, you can just take your stage and set it on there. And then when you get ready to pack up after Christmas, you can take this apart, put it away, and not have to worry about it getting destroyed. Okay, so we're going to put some slots in here to get light through. So let's just start here on the bottom, draw out a slit right there, and that actually looks pretty good. Hit your selector tool, and then shift and select your stage, and then do a vertical alignment. Then we can select it again and go to Array, and then we will use the Y rows. I think we will put a space of about 10 millimeters. No, we'll go 8. We'll go 8 millimeters for spacing, and then you can just click up on the rows, and if we have too many of these, we'll get rid of some of them. I think we can probably get rid of this one. And then we'll just reposition a little bit. And then we'll put some slots in between. So we're going to put some trees in the back. We're going to put a snowman in the front, or in the center here. And then we will put Santa on this side and a flying reindeer over here. At least that is the plan. So for slots, just grab a square, drag it out, drop it, get your selector tool, and we are going to make these slots a width of 10 and a height of 2.4. Again, for the kerf adjustment. And you put these wherever you would like. We're just going to spread them out a little bit. We will put one here in the center for the snowman. And then we will grab both of these, duplicate, and bring them down here for Santa and our reindeer. And then we will grab all of this and group it together. Okay, so now we can make some trees and get our characters. So we're going to use this bunch of trees, but we're only going to take one out. So again, resize from the corner. We'll select, right click, ungroup. Then we can pull out this one tree, and then we can get rid of these others. We can just delete those out and move this up. And let me straighten this up and we'll see how tall we need this tree to be. Usually I'll do one measurement in the beginning and then just kind of justify everything else based off of that. Alright, so here is our tree. First thing we're going to do is spread it out, make it look a little more like a Christmas tree. Grab the corner and straighten it up a little bit. Then we're going to cut this bottom off of it. So you can grab a square, just draw it out, get your selector tool, pull it up a little bit, select the tree, because when you're subtracting something, you always select the item you're subtracting from first. Then you can shift, select the square, go over to the left to the subtraction tool, click, and the bottom of that tree is gone. And then we can resize it a little more. It's going to set here, but we want it to be about as tall as these other trees. Something like that, and we're going to put a bottom back on it. Because when we set it on the slot or in the slot, we need something across the bottom to keep it from slipping through the slot. And then we need the tab on the bottom that will, of course, go into the slot. So just grab a square, draw it out, let it touch the tree. It can go up into it some. It can go all the way up into it if you wanted it to. But just as long as it touches. And then since our tabs and slots will be 10 millimeters, we need this piece to be something larger. So we will just go with 20. And that should work fine. We will select it, shift, select the tree, and then go over to the left and click weld. Okay, now that tree will not slip through the slot. And I've done that before, so I'll make a whole bunch of mistakes, but that's okay. Helps you to learn. So draw out another tab, click your selector tool, and this one we want to be 10 by 3. Then pull in close. You can see your cursor change, and you can just snap it to the bottom. And if this ever does not weld properly, all you got to do is grab and just pull up into the tree a little bit, and it'll be fine. So we'll just do that. I'm going to get a copy of this to use for the next item we're going to do. We'll pull this up in there a little bit. Shift, select, and weld. And now our tree is complete. We're going to duplicate that. And then we will have 2 trees. Alright, now we need to go get us a snowman or something else. I'll just set that there till we need it. And yeah, we'll do the snowman next. So resize from the corner. I'm going to straighten this guy up a little bit. And his arms look a little fragile. So what we are going to do is go over to offset. And we'll do an outward offset just for 1 millimeter. And we'll take a look at it. Anytime you do offset, just pull your original out. Take a look at it. Make sure you don't have any trash in there that you don't want. And that'll be okay. So then the original we can set for a score. And then we need to resize before we put the tab on. So we need to bring this guy over. And he don't need to be any bigger than the tree, but probably a little bit smaller than the tree. We'll go with that. And you can take more time. You can make these larger, you can make them smaller, whatever you would like to do. Okay, so now he's set. Now we need to just touch the original there, get it out of the way. That way we can put a tab on the bottom. So we'll just pull that tab up and get it as close to flush as we can. And then just pull it up inside like so. Shift, select the snowman, and weld. And then we will set this guy back over here. Select everything and group. And he is ready. I know it's a pretty big snowman, but that's all right. Okay, let's go get Santa. So Santa has got a lot going on too. So we're going to have to do an outline of him as well. So we might as well do that. Just go over to offset and we'll do the same thing with the 1 millimeter. I messed up. I'm going to hit Control Z and go back so it will let me grab everything in the center. That will become a score. Just wanted to check this and make sure it's not too trashed out. You get a lot of trash sometimes, and it's intended to be there, but it doesn't fit for what you're doing. So sometimes you may need to clean them up. And if your offset doesn't come out clean the first few times or the first couple of times, you can just keep doing offset on this backdrop piece, pulling them out, deleting them until you get a clean backdrop. All right, we're going to pull this guy back in. We're going to select it and go over here and I guess make him about the size of the snowman. That looks pretty good. Now we're going to try to get the backdrop out. You just have to get in close and get whatever piece you're trying to get, because all of these pieces were not grouped together. and they would be hard to pick them out. All right, so we just need a piece on the bottom. Go up and get one of these we saved. Usually I just make those over and over, but when you can remember to save some pre-made tabs, it's a good idea. Okay, so we'll just pull it up close. And you can't do a vertical alignment on this, because if you did, it would take into account the entire piece and it would end up over here somewhere for center. So just get it close, pull it up, shift, select Santa, and weld. Now we can put this guy back together. And then we could select and group. And you can probably find some nicer looking vectors out there to work with. I just wanted to be sure that we hit all the techniques and functions that would be needed to do something like this. And I'm hoping this works out. I have not done one just like this before. So we're going to go grab our flying reindeer. And I know he looks a little scary right now, but we're going to fix that. Okay, so when one opens like this and you have color included in it, just change it to your score. You couldn't change it to a cut because of all of these intricate inner pieces. All right, so we're just going to grab the corner, straighten them up a little bit. This is a cloud here and a cloud here, so this reindeer is flying. All right, so we will do, I think I'll resize this guy first. And that looks pretty good. Maybe make him a tad bigger. All right, now we will go to our offset. Same thing, 1 millimeter. Then we will pull this guy out and check. Be sure to go back and make this a cut. And then we can grab our, that is the last one we need, so we'll just use what we have there. And then we will pop this guy on the bottom, like so. And when you can snap it to the bottom and it is square, then you don't have to drag that up in there. I'm just doing it to make sure. And then go over and click weld, and there you go. So now we can put this guy back in there. Maybe. All right, that looks okay. Then we can group, and we'll go there. Okay, and then of course we're going to pull all these out for cuts and reposition everything to maximize the use of the wood. And then you would want to also cut with the grain of the wood for your slots, and it would make these slots stronger. At least the pieces on the outer edge, it would make them stronger if you go with the grain. Okay, so I think we can write, we'll just write Merry Christmas on the front. So get your text tool, and I always recommend using Academy Engraved. It gives you a clean look as a score versus having to actually engrave. And we'll resize this. I'm just going to do all caps. Merry Christmas. And then you hit your selector tool, resize it, set it on there however you like, and make it a score. you can shift select your front part and then hit bullseye and it'll center it for you. And I think we are there. One more thing that's good to know when you're often I'll forget to do something like take this score here and move it above the cut line. And forgetting something like that can really make a mess out of your project. But there's a way to fix that. You can go up top and click settings. And no, you can't. That is not right. You want to click device settings. And there is an option right here at the bottom to enable job checklist. So if you do that and you edit it and put in some reminders, when you hit the start button, it'll give you this, whatever you put in there, it'll remind you. And some of the things I forget to do is move my scores above the cut, put on goggles. I don't usually forget that, but you know, you don't want to forget it. Turn on your air assist and your exhaust fan. So any reminders you need, just put them in there. Okay, so I'm going to rearrange everything so I can make the best use of the wood. And then we will get set up in the laser and get this cut out and see what it looks like. Okay, folks, I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, folks, I believe we're ready to cut this out. Okay, so far so good. Let me get this put together and we'll take a closer look at it. I'll be right back. Okay, folks, so Santa and the reindeer are clearly too large. So I'm going to go back and resize those and come back and we'll take another look at this. I'll be right back. So we're just going to resize them and hopefully it will look better. I didn't want to just make the correction without showing you what I'm doing because you might get the idea that I know what I'm doing, and I clearly do not. So, okay. We will resize. I think the snowman's okay. We're just arranging these, and then we're just going to resize them. I'll judge it based off of the snowman. And we will make them a little smaller than the snowman. I guess try to make sure they're not larger than the trees. And then we will fix that tab on the bottom as well. Anytime you resize after you put the tab on, you have to put a new tab. Okay, so to do that, we need to ungroup, and we need to pull the background away, and then we will make us a new tab. Make sure it's a cut. Hit your selector tool. Make your tab 10 by 3. And we're going to need 2 of these. One for Santa. And we can just pull this up and cover this old tab here. Something like so. And it's going to stick all the way through the bottom of the stage. So you can just pull it up, shift select, and weld. And that one is fixed. So we'll just put this back on it. Group it together. And then we'll take care of Santa. Same thing, we're going to ungroup. And we're going to grab the backdrop only. Pull it out. And take the new tab. And just cover up this old tab with it. Just pull it through. Shift select and weld. And that is fixed. We'll group it together. And when you are recutting something, no matter what's on the workspace, if you only select whatever item you select, that's the only thing Lightburn is going to cut. So, unlike some other softwares that I've used, if it's some other softwares, if it's on the canvas, it's going to start cutting. And then we're just going to select these two and recut them, and then we'll take another look at it. Okay, folks, I'll get set up in the laser. We'll do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, folks, let's try this again. All right, now we'll put it together and take a closer look at it. Okay, well, here's our finished project, and it certainly looks better after resizing Santa and the reindeer. So if you folks go out and give this a try and you have any problems with it, just drop me a note down in the comments, and I'll be glad to help out in any way I can. I'm going to try to put some light on this and do a close-up, maybe, to give you a better look. It was a fun project to do. I hope you enjoyed watching. I hope you'll give it a try. And I really appreciate you folks watching and helping the channel grow. So just check back often for new videos. And y'all take care, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.